and welcome to our series on local filmmakers here in Southern Ontario. Today we're speaking to Joe Güstin, a Toronto-based filmmaker who wrote and directed the film Do Not Text Your Ex. Thank you, Joe, for joining us.
Don't text your ex.
So, Joe, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Toronto-based, born and raised Cameroonian, moved to France when I was 15, studied business management to please my parents and make sure they sleep well at night. Had an epiphany, that's a fancy word for huge depression. After 2 years as a marketer, as a marketing manager in Germany, decided to become a full-time artist in 2015 and moved to Canada in 2019 to get all the grants. And yeah, I'm a writer, mostly a writer, director, producer. I created Derange Society in Toronto in 2020. And I create stories that celebrate Black queerness in all of its complexity and magic and joy and creativity. So yeah, I decided to fight for intersectional Black feminism. So to fight against systemic oppressions using fiction and comedy. And that's what I've been doing in many artistic disciplines.
On your portfolio, I've heard you describe yourself as an artivist. Can you, in your own words, describe what that means?
I'm using art to become an activist, like as a weapon for politics. And as a queer Black woman, my sheer existence is political. So whatever I do is going to come out as a political stance. And when I decided to become an artist, when I decided to keep living life, even though it didn't seem that worth living back then, my goal was like, okay, from now on, I'm going to use my superpower to make up stories and make people laugh. For that sake only, to fight for, they call them minorities, but let's say the oppressed majorities. And so I wanted to use art as a, art is used, the fourth power is used as a weapon to create mainstream way of thinking. So I wanted to just use the exact same thing to create the opposite, like to promote things that are hidden and silenced.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell us how your film Don't Text Your Ex falls into those themes?
Oh yeah, Don't Text Your Ex is a PSA campaign, like a fake PSA campaign from the Bureau of Mental Health, something like that, of emotional health from the Ministry of Quarantine. So it's in a fictional near future when the pandemic was overcome, so to speak. And it's about warning queer people with a broken heart about the specificity of the queer heartbreak. Because as a queer person, when you get your heart broken, sometimes you're closeted and you're just gonna cry and there is no shoulder to cry on, and people at home are going to see you crying, and you cannot, they never even know that you were in a relationship. I have this line in my my one woman show where I sing, finding love is like waging a war, and keeping it is like risking your life. But it's in French. It's funnier and snappier in French. But yeah, it basically, when you get your heart broken as a queer person, it was so difficult to just maintain this relationship alive in this queerphobic world. There is no space for you to thrive as a queer person or a queer couple or throuple or whatever. You are hurting not only because you lost that person, you lost a safe space, a space where you could be you entirely. So yeah, I'm actually on screen. You can see non-binary people, Black non-binary people, trans women, with the makeup of an old Black trans woman, because I think that is something we need to see more. I wish I could show an actual elderly Black woman. During the pandemic, it was very difficult to find a non-union Black actress over 75. And you can see, you see Black queerness, but not as a documentary about how they get lynched in Uganda. No, it's you see them having a blast in a park, in the open space, in the public space, which is like, no one is calling the police because they're smiling in the park. No one is, they just existing and thriving. And I wanted to portray that more, because this is what I need to see. I want to show, to produce more creative universes where people can just chill. You shouldn't be afraid of anything triggering happening when you watch my things. I just want you to be triggered by the next joke you never expected. That's the only thing that I want to. I really want to create safe spaces, which is a switch, a complete. I changed completely from the beginning of my career, where I wanted to make people to be mad, to want to faire la révolution. Like, I wanted people to feel like this world is so shitty. Let's be angry together so that things can change. Ever since the pandemic, I shifted completely, and I'm like, I actually want people to feel we're already mad all the time. We're already paying so much money for mental health. Now I want people to just chill and allow themselves to dream. Voila.
Speaking on creating safe spaces, I heard that the crew of Don't Text Your Ex was mostly made of people in the queer community. Is that true?
Yeah, they showed up. The queer Ontario community showed up. It was mostly volunteers, people like, I don't know. I just shared the pitch, and people were sliding into my DMs like, I want to help, and it was amazing. It felt, it's, you don't need to wait until June to see queerness in Toronto. It's without knowing, we everywhere, and we just need to create an event that is like a film shooting. And even during the pandemic, when the outside is scary, and I didn't even have any network back then. I was like, I'd been in Canada for like maybe 10 months. So I was pretty new, and I'm a homebody, so no one knew me. I was never outside. I went to a couple of open mics to do stand-up comedy, but apart from that, no one knew me. But they didn't need to. They just like, hey, I want to help. And this is something I'm very glad that we were warned before you move to Canada. When you get your PR, when you do the whole process, there are Zoom meetings where Canadians warn you about the cultural shocks. We were warned that, hey, by the way, Canadians are gonna want to help you for free. Say yes, there's no trick. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy I got the warning, because in France, if people show up like that, you're like, what do you want from me? Like, what's and it's apparently in the film industry, it's something that's just usual. And I don't know about the other industries, but so far, that's how it was for me, and I was so grateful. Unfortunately, they don't always stick around, but that's a Toronto thing. I think you have to work on making it stick, like glue them together.
So we talked about the crew. Why don't you tell us where the idea for the film came from?
I was inspired by an article that I had read in 2019. Why exactly do queer heartbreaks hurt so much? Something like that. I forgot the exact phrasing, but yeah, it's an article online, and it showed that what I said earlier, queer breakups are different from hetero breakups. Even though after my very first breakups, I could understand Adele's songs. I was like, oh, this is what she had been singing this entire time. Now I feel it. But yeah, you don't need to be straight to understand that, or queer, whatever. First, there was that article. So I was like, yeah, it does feel like you're gonna die when you get your heart broken, even if the relationship only lasted 3 weeks, and it did only last 2 weeks. But I felt like this could not be. And I wrote so many. I got so creative after that breakup, which is kind of cool. And I was also inspired by the fact that I was all by myself in Kensington Market, in a neighborhood, my very first neighborhood in Toronto. During the lockdown, both my roommates had moved out to fill the rooms. So I had to find a new tenant. Applying were people in the middle of a breakup, people who did not, being locked down with your partner is not always easy. So they did not stand each other. So they were applying in tears, leaving their husbands, boyfriends. And there was one black gay boy, young man. And I was like, breaking up. I remember how breaking up in general, you're like tempted to text your ex, but during the pandemic, like, you don't want to be alone. It's the end of the world. Even if you guys broke up like 3 years ago, you're like, wonder how she's doing. Like, So I was like, yeah, we're gonna make a lot of mistakes. And I was actually witnessing so many people who I will not name. They were contacting their exes, and now they're full of regrets. But back then in 2020, we were all making those mistakes. And so right now, I'm still witnessing that. We're not under lockdown anymore, but I don't know, for some reason, when you tell somebody don't text your ex, the one thing that they want to do, like, immediately, is like, you know what, Joe? Let me text her like right now, and just to see what happens. And yeah, there's just like you. It's like you put the idea into their mind. Now they're obsessed with the idea of texting their exes. So yeah, I cannot say anything anymore. But once someone told me, you know what? After watching your film, I went to and texted my ex just to have a closure. But yeah, it can help. But I don't know.
What would you say was the hardest part about getting this film produced?
Oh, everything.
Everything?
The entire thing.
Yeah. Why don't you give us a step-by-step process?
The hardest part was now so far this is basically my first film, and I did it on during a global pandemic, during a lockdown, without any network and any film experience. So I remember when I learned, when you want your driver's license, you have the theoretical test. I was in Germany when I passed my exam, my driving thing, and I took the test. I learned the test in German, which is not my first language, so that for the exam, I switched to French, and it would feel easier. And I nailed that just because I was used to learning with an extra difficulty, the language. And now that the questions were in French, I could just answer faster. And I think it's gonna be the same with film. The fact that I love learning by doing. I learned in the most extreme situations. 3 days prior to the shooting, I had zero lead actress. The one that I had was like, no, I'm not comfortable. I was just asking her, do you have a white suit or a white tuxedo or white dress, something that would feel like you're getting married? And she said, why? People are going to think that I'm a lesbian. And I was like, shit, did she read the script? I'm like, what is she talking about? You're a lesbian. Like, I don't do queer gatekeeping, so I don't ask people to come out before they apply for the roles. I accept the fact that people get closeted the entire career and still land queer roles. I don't mind that at all. Maybe not closeted or figuring it out. If you find out when you're 95 years old that you were gay this entire time, it doesn't mean that you were not gay when you were 16. So I didn't tell her, oh, by the way, are you gay? So just 3 days before the shooting, she was like, oh, what? I don't want to be a lesbian in this thing. So she was out. And I was like, the shooting is in I gave her most of, she had 9 pages of lines. I don't know what to do anymore. And yeah, it was mostly casting. Casting was very hard because I am not Netflix. People are not just running. I'm not CBC. Let's take Canadian. People are not running into my email to apply. I'm not paying people that well, and yeah, people usually actually canceled last minute if they found something better. So to me, producing was like juggling balls, and each ball is an actual person with their lives. They're like, yeah, my baby daddy messed up. I have to go. It's the middle of the shooting, but yeah, I have to keep the thing going and with a smile on my face. No one is supposed to know that I'm melting down inside. And yeah, and it was keeping the show going, not I don't know. I don't know if that was the most difficult part or the easiest part, because I'm quite stubborn. So even though the universe begs me to just give up, I'm like, fuck the universe. I'm an atheist anyway, so I'm doing this, and we're all gonna die. Like,
Right.
whatever happens, I'm doing this, and so yeah, casting was hard because I love a great cast. I love having professionals on camera, and I didn't, unfortunately. But the film turned out to be what it is. So I let people with their sides, they could read, and it became something meta because of those circumstances. It was never the plan to create something meta. The plan was to have like amazing actors on camera, blowing us away, blowing our minds with their genius, genie, and yeah, I like it. It created comedy. I guess this Plan Z, because it was definitely not the Plan B at this point.
Right. And so Don't Text Your Ex, it had its run at the Grand River Film Festival, right?
Yeah, so grateful.
And so I just want to kind of talk about the festival itself a little bit. And why do you think film festivals, local film festivals in particular, are so important to a community?
Anything promoting art, bringing people together in a very positive manner is important. Life is so extremely short. One of my I said that right after saying life is short, but in Cameroon, cinemas don't exist anymore. But the ones that have been recently created again belong to a French billionaire, Vincent Bolloré, whom I do not like one bit. So it's whatever France wants to show Cameroonians is what happens. And you still have to please the colonizer. And in my father's village, I noticed that there was some kind of old pancarte. How do you say it? Like I could see the sign, an old sign of a local cinema that did not exist anymore. I was like, wait, there was a cinema here in the village. We barely have electricity in the village. So I was like, there was a cinema? So I was told, yeah, back in the days when there were still young people in the village, during the summer holidays, the entire year is a summer, but yeah, during the the long holidays, they would entertain the families by putting together a film night. And there are no longer young people in the village anymore. There are barely anyone. There's barely anybody in the village anymore. And now when you go to the village, it's only to bury someone. So only funerals bring people together. So when I see that, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make the village interesting again to young people, to people again. There's not big cities are so, I don't know, to me they are overrated. But usually you go there because that's where the money is. That's where you get hired and stuff. But creating festivals, creating opportunities of joy outside of big cities, draw people, not only people, but money, because they're going to spend money there, to smaller cities. and they bring people together. I remember that film from Argentina that I watched at TIFF this year. What's the name again? The story, the movie teller, I guess. It's about a little girl who tells the stories of a film she watched at the movies, but the movies got so expensive that her entire family could not go anymore. So she's the one who would go and tell her family in such a vivid way that it would be more entertaining than the film itself. And she started gathering the entire neighborhood around her stories. It's just imagine someone like that in my village, my father's village. And there you go, bim, you have a cinema again, or you have live theater. Just imagine a programmer saying, you know what, let's make a film context. You all have your cell phones. Let's create something about this theme, this subject, and the winner gets this amount of money. Number two gets interesting things, and there you go. You have your festival with free fun movies in the village, and you have all the opportunities to be together. Than let's bury this person who hadn't been to the village in years, but for some reason this is where the corpse is supposed to stay for the.
Perfect. Joe, I know you said this is your first film, and I don't think you've thought about it much, but what other films or what other goals do you have that you hope to accomplish by the time you've retired?
Retiring is not. First of all, I don't like walking. I'm a workaholic who hates walking, and but I don't like the idea. I don't like capitalism and the idea of having to work to survive, just to afford food and a roof over my head. So retiring to me was first like not worrying about that anymore, about the material stuff. And I thought it would be faster. I thought I would have some zeros on my bank account sooner than this. But yeah, apparently, yeah, it can take some time. But the idea of not writing anymore, not creating stories, it's like the minute I stop doing that, I die. I just drop dead. So it's not. It's not happening. Not now. Not ever. I'm gonna keep creating stories. So about the stories that I wish I could see. That's the only thing. I'm gonna keep creating stories. So first of all, I'm gonna die at the age of 111. Because of 111, it's gonna look so cute if I have a good graphic designers for my invitations for my funerals. Yeah, she was 111, and what I plan to tell as stories until that age, I have some ideas. I have this musical that I really want to produce. There's this singer from Cameroon that I absolutely love, but I don't know. He's alive. He's still alive. I can still contact him. I want it to be good, and I don't know where to start. And I don't know if I should find the solution before I contact him, or if I could contact him to get the groove going. But doing a musical about his first album that was in my father's car when I was growing up in Cameroon is on my bucket list. Doing I want to do a vaudeville vaudeville is this theater genre in French, where people are like, "Ciel, mon mari," it's comedy. It's supposed to be the opposite of intellectual comedy. It's usually a woman in bed with someone who is not her husband, and her husband comes in and she's like, "Oh my God, my husband." I want to do that for Black gay people because, yeah, they cheat too, and it could be funny. I want to do something very it looks stupid. It looks funny and not intellectual, but since I wrote it, there's I want it to be light and funny, and without noticing, a bit clever, but I don't want it to be shikimik, how do you call it? Pretentious.
Right. And I think we've got time for one more question, Joe. What advice would you give to other upcoming filmmakers?
Oh, my main piece of advice would be to as an artist in general, not to forget that you're not the consumer of your art. Never look at your art. Never read yourself. As a writer, I'm not a reader. As a filmmaker, I'm not a festival goer or a viewer. You're the creator. You don't try to put yourself in the shoes of the person who is going to watch it. Don't try to judge yourself. You will never be able to. Some people are going to adore something you hate, but it's not your place to like it or hate it. It's your place to just finish it. So I'd say to everyone who wants to create something, finish your first draft. Always finish your first draft. And then you can come back to it and try to rewrite it and make it better. But finish it. Starting is easy. Finish your first draft. Don't judge yourself. You're not your own fan. You're not supposed to be your own fan. I don't create the things that I usually watch, and it's okay. Have fun creating things. And I love, well, it's personal, but I love using my own life and my own vulnerability to create. And to me, it's actually generosity. You not only helping yourself, you're helping other people by being true to yourself in your art. So it's like free therapy. So just get naked. That's what I want to say. Just show everything.
Thank you, Joe. This has been an educational experience. I want to thank you again for coming onto our show.
Thank you, Bruce, and I'm looking forward to coming to you in person in 2024. It's happening.
I'm excited for it. And for CCDTV, I'm Bruce De La Cruz.
Oh, I think I see one over there. I think. How do you know if two people are together? They aren't angry at each other. They don't have that stupid smile on their faces. They're not fingering each other either. You haven't said anything. How do you know?
Je me demande. I don't know. You hit one and you see if the other one's nose is bleeding.
You know what? Put your camera down. On va leur parler. Oh, so you mean you'd hit on one? You wouldn't hit one. I heard what you said and I thought, well, this is how I die. Hi.
Hi.
My name's Jessica Kingay, pronouns she, her, and I'm making a film called Humans of New Love.
And who's your friend?
Oh, that's just my camera operator. Pronouns they, them. They're in between names right now.
I like Oyomide.
I'm sure you do.
I like initials too, like Z, A, J.
Mm-hmm. A-cab.
So, are you two a couple?
Prisons were still legal when I locked it down with Miss Headache right here.
Dr. Headache.
Do you know what else was legal? Gendering babies. That was fun. Baby showers with a cake that said what your baby's genitals were.
And now the cake just says your baby is... Ah.
Wow, what a time. So, do you two remember COVID-19?
No, we don't.
Oh, wow.
OMG. Do you remember when industrial farming was legal?
It still is, honey. Yo, in between. Are you sure that thing is not recording?
Oh, don't worry, we shut it off. C'est pas vraiment off. In between. So, did you guys ever break up?
Many times.
When did we not?
That's all we did. She kept breaking up with me every 2 seconds when we first started dating. For no reason at all.
What do you mean, no reason? I am but reason. That was the problem.
She was a revolutionary medical intern. And I was an asexual sex worker. I would read books by Bell Hooks, Patricia Hill Collins, Mabula Sumahoro, to naked white men screaming, all whites are racist. And she was brimming with jealousy.
I was not used to being with anyone. Passion was not my thing.
You were jealous. That's passion.
It is?
You know it is. She was dying of jealousy because I was making more money than her. I didn't know better back then. I should have cut it off myself.
Oh, you did?
Did I?
She broke up with me once. In August. I thought I would die. All the songs ever sung in the history of singing started making sense at the same time. It was like an orgasm of pain. I had all the symptoms of death.
You were just saying that.
So how did you finally get back together? Who messaged who first? Who slid into whose DMs? Did she just start watching your stories and then just stop in order to make you message her first? Un instant, I should get this. Coucou, chou. Je suis en plein tournage là. Ça va?
Sugar, are you okay? Sugar?
Mais j'hallucine. Elle se fout de moi.
Sugar?
I'm not sugar. I should be Shu.
And you will, again.
Cut the crap, you two. You're not back together.
We're not even real. We're just your subconscious, showing you what you want to see.
Sugar, it's just queer heartbreak. Your only safe place in the world has relocated, and you don't have the visa. But now you're only remembering the good things about the place, her optimism of the future, about a day we could just chill in the park while black.
Without the film crew bothering us.
Her smile when she looks at you, the way she strokes your armpit hair, and how it doesn't feel the same when you do it yourself. I know it sucks.
It sucks billionaire dick. And there is no cure. Did I mention I was a doctor?
Doctors can't help with queer heartbreak. But do you know who can? Sugar?
Queer mental health specialist?
No. Well, yes.
What?
Them too.
What? Mental health is important.
Yeah, but why can't you just let me have this? Huh? I was about to say art and hand this to them. Do you know what helps? Art and time and self-love meditation.
And weed? And your dicklet? And Jesus? Jesus, of course, being the name of your dicklet.
Maybe we should start rolling?
Well, this is how I die.
What did you say? So does that mean you ladies will join us? Becoming part of our film? And should we start over and make it right this time?
Sugar, sugar. Here, sugar. Here's your prescription. I know it's hard to swallow, but you got this.
Don't text your ex.
Brought to you by the Bureau of Emotional Health of the Ministry of Quarantine.
Don't text your ex.
I don't know about this film, man. J'ai l'impression de m'être cassé le cul pour transmettre un message à mon ex. Un message que j'aurais pu lui transmettre par un simple texto, quoi.
Whatever will come, will come.
Ce que j'ai pas osé dire, c'est que ça peut tuer cette histoire. Hein. J'avais une pote qui a osé contacter son ex pendant le confinement. Et son ex a laissé en vue. Alors elle s'est dit qu'il faut que j'arrête d'y penser. Elle a décidé d'aller cacher son téléphone en haut de l'armoire. Et elle est tombée.
C'est pas vrai.
Elle n'est pas morte. Elle s'est cassée la jambe. Mais avec sa jambe cassée, elle a pris la voiture quand même.
Pourquoi on n'a pas appelé une ambulance?
Son téléphone était toujours sur la main, non? Elle a pris la voiture. Elle n'a pas pu appuyer sur la pédale de frein correctement à cause de la jambe cassée. Et elle a fait un accident.
Oh mon Dieu.
Elle n'est pas morte. Elle a cogné la voiture d'un gars. Le gars était furieux. Il est descendu de sa voiture. Il ne portait pas de masque, il lui a refilé le Covid. Voilà comment elle est morte. Bref, si elle n'avait pas contacté son ex.
Franchement.
Je suis restée trop longtemps, couchée dans mon lit. J'avais besoin de toi pour m'aider cette nuit. Que faisais-tu à ce moment? Je criais ton nom. Imagines-tu que ma main puisse aller si profond? Je me suis rhabillée. J'ai pensé à manger. J'ai fui en Italie. J'ai pleuré et j'ai ri. En marchant dans la nuit, je passe sous ta fenêtre. Je cherche à faire du bruit et je choisis de disparaître. En marchant dans la nuit, je passe sous ta fenêtre. Je cherche à faire du bruit et je choisis de disparaître. Je vois peu mes amis. Je me couche après minuit. Oh. Je mate trop de séries. Mon inspiration est tarie. Oh, oh. Le téléphone ne sonne plus. 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 À la claire fontaine, m'en allant promener, j'ai trouvé l'eau si belle que je m'y suis baignée. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime. À la claire fontaine, en allant promener, j'ai trouvé l'eau si belle. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime. À la claire fontaine, j'ai trouvé l'eau si belle. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime. À la claire fontaine, en allant promener, j'ai trouvé l'eau si belle que je m'y suis baignée. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime. Il y a longtemps que je t'aime. Jamais je ne t'oublierai.